What makes something thrilling? What makes a story capture us in such a way where we're holding our breath and sitting on the edge of our seats and wondering how in the world our characters are going to get through this insane set of situations that have been placed in front of you? I want to talk about this topic, and I want to do it by talking about the recent Alien Romulus movie. So I just saw this movie. I've seen it a couple times in the theater already. I love the Alien franchise, and I left it with a lot of thoughts about how action and characters intermingle in an interesting way. And that's what I want to talk about on this video. For those of you who are new here, my name is Michael Regina. I'm the author and illustrator of the all-ages horror graphic novel, The Sleepover. And if you are not a subscriber, please consider subscribing and liking this video, because I talk about storytelling and games and all this sort of thing, and share updates on my book and show you what my creative process looks like. But on Alien Romulus, before I dig in, I do want to give you all a big flashing spoiler alert here, because I don't know how I talk about this particular thought that I've had regarding this movie without digging into spoilers for the ending of this story, but I'll try my best to be sort of vague. One of the things that really struck me with Alien Romulus is that you took these likable set of characters, or at least some of them are pretty likable, and you put them in a situation where the stakes for them are super dire, right? They're in this situation where they are trapped in a life that they don't want to live, and that they're looking for a desperate way to get out of their situation, go to another planet where they're able to have a life worth living. And so because they're driven to this place of desperation, they decide to board this spaceship, the Romulus and Remus, space station that's hovering above their planet in search of cryopods to get themselves to another planet. But what struck me about this story was that the story was not afraid to throw everything at its characters. This is something I've been learning as I've been game mastering and learning how to run TTRPGs for my friends, because typically when I think of stories, I tend to think of plot and structure. But what I've been learning through playing role-playing games that makes it really interesting is that often at the end of that story, really all I have to do as a game master is throw things at my characters and watch how they react. Right? So I don't want to break the rules of the game or the world that they understand it, but what I do want to do is I want to throw things at them and just see how they respond. And that was the feeling I mostly got when I was watching Alien Romulus, which was like, you have this group of characters, you've put them in a crazy situation, and the story just keeps ratcheting up the tension of the climax the whole way. And at some points I'm sitting there going like, man, any one of these threats that these characters is facing is enough. Then you get to the very end of the movie and you've literally, I think, got 1, 2, 3, 4, there's like 5. There's like 5 or 6 things that are happening to our main characters all in quick succession. And you're literally watching it going like, any one of these things is terrifying. How is she going to survive all 3 of them? And so one of the things I left it thinking about a lot was like, when we're telling stories, if we create compelling and interesting characters, and we spend the time to get to know them, and we spend the time to understand how they respond and what matters to them and what their themes are, we can then really just focus on this idea of like, I provide conflict, I see how my characters respond to said conflict. Obviously, there's a lot that I could get into as far as like how theme intermingles with that conflict and so on and so forth, and I think that that's definitely intermingled even in the way Romulus handles its story. But it did impress upon me that what can be a lot of fun is to just create situations that are absolutely seem like an impossible situation. And you can drop your characters into the middle of that situation, watch how they respond, root for them the whole way, and see if they can make it out to the other side. One way you might see this theme play out in the gaming space, to bring up the gaming space here again, is that often, like if you think about Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition or so, there's this big emphasis on creating encounters for characters that feel balanced, right? And if I were to look at something, meaning that like the characters have a legitimate chance of dealing with the situation because it's appropriately challenged rating based on their levels. And I've never really vibed with that, even as a pretty new game master. I was always like, I don't really understand the point of that. I've written enough stories where I might take a character who is like first level of anything, and I've thrown completely insurmountable tasks at them and watch those characters find interesting ways to solve those problems. And when I'm playing those games with my friends and I'm like, we're still piddling around with zombies and goblins and stuff, it's like, that's not why I came to this game. I came to this game because I want to see big, cool things happen. And then me as a character try to find a heroic way to deal with that problem. And that was sort of the feeling I had watching Romulus, was like this idea of like, you can take a dragon and put it in front of a first level character and just see what happens. And if the players are interesting and thinking, they're going to find a way to get to that problem. And when I say player, I'm meaning character. We can do the same things with our characters in our stories. We can put these ordinary people in extreme situations and trust those characters to find solutions to those problems, all the while making for a more exciting and more engaging experience for our readers, because we've ratcheted up the intensity and the drama of the conflict. That's basically Alien Romulus to me. It's a group of first level characters fighting just the absolute horror of the universe and having to find some way to survive completely, bonkers stakes. I think of particularly the scene where we have, dozens of facehuggers chasing the characters down a corridor, and I'm just going, what a cool concept. You were just like, wouldn't it be cool in the context of this story if the characters found all these facehuggers, and how would they survive? And you just see what the characters do. So anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. If you've seen Romulus, what did you think? I thought the ending was absolutely bonkers. That was sort of the feeling I had when it was over. Was I was sitting there, like, I looked at my friends and I was like, this is why I come to a movie. Like, it took all the things that I love in the Alien franchise, sort of mashed it all together into sort of a blender of things and elements that I loved. It took the best elements from all those things and crafted the story with an interesting set of young characters, put them in a situation that was just different enough to be really compelling, and it just felt relentless. And then the ending was absolutely like bonkers. It was such a bonkers ending. And so I was really impressed by it, but it did remind me that I can trust my story I can throw a lot at my characters if my characters are interesting, and if they are compelling, they can do some really interesting things. I hope you all are having a good one, and again, please like and subscribe. Tell me what you thought of the movie in the comments, and I will see you all next time.